Rage on that beat, going crazy.
I stopped taking pre-workout for 3 months after taking it every day for 2 years, and here's what happened. Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Yes, you heard it right. I took pre-workout every day for 2 years, if not longer, and then stopped for 3 months, cold turkey. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened when I stopped, when I started taking it again, and my change of plans with pre-workout supplements going forward. Before we get into the video, take 2 seconds to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you want to help me out. Let's go. Okay, so first we need to set the scene by going back to the early days of my stimulant abuse. So I've been training for 4 whole years now, and there's a lot from the start of that journey that I've forgotten. However, my first time taking pre-workout, yeah, I'm not going to forget that. I'd been training for a couple of months and everything was still super new and exciting to me. Creatine was still basically steroids and genetic limits didn't exist. Like, I was gonna be Ronnie Coleman. I was gonna be a black natural athlete. So when my friend got his hands on some pre-workout, safe to say I was beside myself. I remember the powder was like old and crusty, like it was clumped up and stuff in the tub. I don't know why it was like that, but I was so excited to try it because everyone I saw on YouTube was always taking it, and I just wanted to see what all the hype was about basically. I was fully expecting something which tasted incredible, doubled my bench press, made me see rainbows, all of these amazing things. So I went to try it, I mixed a scoop in with a small amount of water, drank it, and it made me want to throw up. It was literally, absolutely, completely disgusting. So naturally, being a guy, I drank the rest and then carried on with the rest of the session feeling sick. But I was anticipating superpowers from the pre-workout, so apples and oranges. So long story short, I got an itchy face and that was about it. After that experience, I took quite a long break from pre-workout powder, thinking it did pretty much nothing and was going to be as horrible as that every single time. And then eventually I researched some powders which weren't rubbish, that actually had some good quality stuff in them, at the right dosages, didn't taste awful, like tasted good, like things should do. Ones which gave me a nice clean buzz without, all the usual stuff. And when I first started taking this, I would only ever use it for a session where I was planning to get a PR, like really going for a personal record. And then I started using it every time that I felt really good and up for a really hard session. And then I started using it on the hardest ones every week. And then I started taking half a scoop every session. And then I started taking a full scoop every session. And then 2 years down the line, I'd taken it every day, 4 scoops. Don't judge me. So after about 2 years of solid pre-workout abuse, I took a step back and realised that I wasn't actually using pre-workout for what it was meant for. It was just a habit that had become so ingrained in my day-to-day that it was just what I did rather than something I was using. I'd gotten so used to all the ingredients in it that I didn't see a benefit from them anymore. I didn't notice the effect they were having on me. But then again, because I never didn't take it, I didn't actually know because I didn't have anything to compare it with anymore. So I was just kind of crossing my fingers and assuming it was doing something. When this whole lockdown situation hit, I thought it'd be a perfect time to just come off pre-workout, have an experiment, see what happens. Not slowly tapering down like a bitch. I just went cold turkey. So like I said, I'm going to go through everything I noticed when I first came off, what I noticed throughout the 3-month period, and what happened when I started taking pre-workout again. But first, there's something massively important that did happen, that I did notice and that I did anticipate, that is, like I said, hugely important, and I don't want anyone watching to miss this, so we're going to go through that first right now. I believe that coming off pre-workout supplements helped my recovery quite a lot. Like most people, I've got a busy job, I've got a busy life. On top of that, I train hard 6 days a week, always harder than last time. And on top of that, I drink a lot of caffeine, a lot of stimulants. This is all stress which builds up in the body and leads to less recovery capability. By cutting out pre-workout, I was cutting out quite a substantial amount of stimulants from my day-to-day routine. So having less stimulants in my diet every day helped to reduce my cortisol levels. It means less stress to my nervous system and therefore better recovery / less suppression of that parasympathetic state. This is massively important to be aware of because the majority of people these days have chronically elevated stress levels, which is going to impact you in a lot of ways in the long term as well as the short term. Alright, so with that explained, let's get into everything else that I noticed coming off of pre-workout. I think the most noticeable thing to me straight off the bat when I stopped taking the pre-workout supplement was that I got less of a pump during my training. It's not that I wasn't getting a pump at all, I still got a bit of a pump. It just felt kind of muted compared to what I was used to. It was on a lower level. Obviously, a bit less of a pump isn't going to be detrimental to your results or your training or your strength or anything like that, but it does definitely affect your perception of the workout and how you feel going in and during the workout, which can, down the line, lead to some changes. Something really important to note about this, however, that I noticed a few weeks after cutting out pre-workout is that I didn't just cut out pre-workout supplements. I was also cutting out hydration. I'm a pre-workout drinker, not a dry scooper, and because of that, every time I was having pre-workout before a training session, I was drinking a good, 500 millilitres of water, and that was just completely cut out. I'm sure you know how important hydration is to not only your strength and your alertness and all that kind of stuff in the gym, but it also massively contributes to the pump that you get, because a pump is basically waste product and water building up in your muscle. So if I was going in slightly dehydrated compared to what I was used to, obviously I was going to get less of a pump. So as soon as I realised this, I made more of a conscious effort to drink the same amount of liquid, if not more, before my training sessions, just without the powder in it this time. This definitely did help and the pump did get slightly better, but obviously, as expected, it still wasn't quite as good as with the supplements because they do put stuff inside it to help, enhance that pump. Also, something I noted is that I was drinking the same amount of water before a session, but I didn't feel as hydrated. Like, I'm no chemist, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if there's something in the supplement which helps you kind of take in that hydration better, or if it was just placebo because it was cold and tasted nice and it was all in my head. Yeah, probably that. Another big one is the ritual of taking a pre-workout. My workout doesn't start when I get to the gym. My workout starts when I start making that pre-workout. It just helps me get my mind right going into the session. Drinking it kind of told my body that it's time to wake up, it's time for my mind to focus. And I definitely associated the taste of the pre-workout, because I nearly always use the same one, to okay, it's time to get good, it's time to be strong. It really is a surprisingly big part of getting yourself ready and getting yourself in the right headspace for a session. It doesn't have to be pre-workout, but just that ritual period of time in general. So by suddenly cutting out this ritual, it was definitely harder to get started with my workout. When I drank pre-workout, I kind of felt like I was going into the session ready, whereas without that ritual, I felt like I was kind of just getting up and walking into the session bare. Like I wasn't ready, I wasn't geared up for it. After a few weeks, I naturally just developed a new kind of ritual, obviously, and developing that ritual did help. I didn't get as much of that feeling of unreadiness. So I think the point here really is that it's very important to develop a ritual for getting your head right and getting into the mind space to push yourself as much as you need to in a session, but that doesn't have to include pre-workout, you know. One thing you often see on the marketing of pre-workout supplements is that they help improve your focus, and I never really understood that. Back when I first started looking at it, I just assumed it was a bunch of marketing BS and kind of ignored it, because how can something improve your focus? However, I did notice, especially at the beginning, that I lost a bit of focus during my sessions. It wasn't really a lack of focus in general throughout the session. It was like on those last few hard reps where I just didn't have that focus to push through them as much as I did when I had that pre-workout in my system. Again, I really don't know the science behind all this stuff, and it really wouldn't surprise me if it was just a placebo thing that's all in my head. I'm just telling you what I found. It could have even been the fact that I was in a deficit during the time I was in a fat loss phase, so I had a bit less energy to push through. But I still think it's the placebo thing, probably. Either way though, that kind of stopped after a few weeks, so it's not a huge deal at all. And the last thing I want to touch on about going off of pre-workout is the energy, which is kind of ironic because energy is supposed to be the first thing that they give you. But by taking this 3-month break, it's kind of made me realise that they don't actually help you that much in terms of energy. At the start of my workout, my energy without the pre-workout supplements was definitely worse. I didn't have that caffeine to kick me up the arse, or the initial placebo to kick me up the arse. But then, interestingly enough, once my CNS had kind of woken up and my head was in the game, muscles were feeling ready, warmed up, all that kind of stuff, my energy was actually better throughout the workout, and especially towards the end of the workout, I noticed less of a drop-off of energy than what I was used to when I was taking that pre-workout. It is kind of a known effect of caffeine that it kind of gives you this peak and then a drop-off. So I guess that's what I was experiencing, whereas the energy that I was getting through just waking myself up during the session naturally, it just felt like a cleaner, more sustained level of energy throughout the session. So worse at the beginning, but then less of a drop-off and better throughout. Okay, so yeah, unfortunately I wasn't enlightened and decided to never take pre-workout again. After those 3 months, I did start again. The first thing to note about going back into taking pre-workout supplements is that I went back to the half a scoop that I originally used to take. Because I was new to it again, it was all fresh to me. I just didn't need the full scoop, and I will go back to the full scoop when my tolerance builds up and I feel that that's needed. But until then, I'll be sticking with half a scoop. In terms of my tolerance to the pre-workout supplements, it had definitely gone down, which is a great thing. It means that I actually felt the effects of the pre-workout again, the energy, the focus, the pump, even the slight itching, which I can't. So it became something that I could tell that I had used, rather than something that I just had to assume was there and doing something. Now obviously the reset in my tolerance wasn't as profound as it would have been as if I had completely come off caffeine in those 3 months, but come on, nah. And lastly, I was pretty interested to see if my sleep would be affected by being on or off of pre-workout supplements. I keep track of it, my sleep with my Fitbit. I don't know how accurate it is, but you know, it's accurately inaccurate. So I wanted to see if it would be affected, and to be honest, it wasn't. However, bear in mind that I'd always train either in the morning or at latest midday. So if I did train in the evenings, I do think it would have affected my sleep. The half-life of caffeine is around 4 to 5 hours, which means by 8 to 10 hours it should be completely out of your system. So if I was taking pre-workout in the morning for my session, by the time I was going to bed, it should have been gone anyway. So going forward, I have some plans with my caffeine consumption, which hopefully I can stick to. First off, I want to regularly have time off of pre-workout. Not necessarily the whole 3 months like I've just done, but I feel like a week or two every few months will be very beneficial. I also plan to only take it on days that I feel like I need it, especially to begin with, and then even then that'll just be half a scoop, and then I'm sure over time I'll give in and slowly I'll build up to 4 scoops every day again, and when that happens, that's when I'll take my break. Alright guys, that is everything I noticed when I stopped taking pre-workout supplements for 3 months. I am glad I did this because it was really interesting to find out how my body would respond to it, and especially how it would respond when I went back into taking it. I also saved quite a lot of money because that stuff's not cheap. Let me know in the comment section below if you've ever done anything like this, if you've been taking it for ages and then just suddenly stopped. Tell me about your experience, and yeah, just let me know what your experience was. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel, it really helps out. Leave the video a like, and until the next one, see you later guys.